to GLOBEBUSTERS.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. It is season 9, episode 13. Hope you all are well. I am back at my home studio, so if you could tell me in the chat if the sound is okay or if I'm too loud or somebody else is too quiet or too loud, that would be helpful. Welcome to the show. We got a good one. We've called it Fallacious Fetzer. And obviously, I'm sure you've figured out what that's all about. But we'll go through what turned out to be a quite hilarious debate between Jim Fetzer and Austin and Dave, or a conversation, whatever you want to call it, where I guess Fetzer thought it was good evidence to show us every Dave McKeegan video in complete and totalness, and including all the ads. So thank you, Jim, for that. Let's say hello to everybody. We first got the Zachary Zabala. Good times for all. Zach, what's up?
Hey, Jeran, what's going on, man?
Nothing. Sending out my notification here on Telegram so we can get some people in the house. Thank you guys for joining us if you're already here. And we've also got Austin Whitsitt in the house. Austin, how are you?
How's it going? Good to be here as always.
Good to have you. Hope all is well. And yeah, I don't know how, people always say it to me when they're like, I don't know how you sit through 4 hours. I'm like, I looked at you, I don't know how you didn't yell and scream during the middle of Fetzer's presentations, but good for you for at least maintaining some, I don't know, cordial nature. It was good.
Yeah, I just read the chat. It says entertainment.
Yeah, it was entertainment. We've also got Iru Landucci. Iru, where are you at nowadays?
I'm still here in Switzerland,
Oh,
trying
right.
to destroy the Bank of International Settlement, but it's really hard just dropping rocks to the building.
You probably should get a few
But
more
I'm
people
still
to help
here.
you. Just rocks? Yeah, that's going to take you a while.
Yeah, well, we don't have the financial system like they have to create an industrial military complex,
Where's your map of the flat Earth? Where's your, where's your leveling, your survey report for the entire flat Earth? It's like, yeah, we have all that money, all that government money.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Rolling
That
in.
is why I trying to penetrate this entity, trying to, take the money from the Templars.
Well, thank you on behalf of everyone. We appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm gonna keep informed.
I'll send you some rocks if I find any over here.
All right.
We have good rocks here. All right, we've also got Troubling Tribune in the house. Troubling. How's life? Okay.
Quiet and silence.
Is he here? Troubling? Am I tripping? Or no, that's his logo. All right.
Yeah, he's here. He unmuted on Skype, but yeah, his mic might not be working.
I just saw
You
it.
may have to drop out and jump back in, man.
Yeah, try to jump out, jump back in. And we will get going now. I was supposed to do a show on Friday, but I was having some computer issues, which I still am, but it looks like we're running okay right now. But Jim Fetzer had sent me a special report to put out for people on Friday. And I'll play that to start, and then I got to do one thing here, and we'll see if Troubling can... Oh, he dropped out, so maybe he'll come back and join us. But I will put this on 1 second. Anything pressing anybody needs to bring up that I may have forgotten in this moment before we just get into going through, and we'll go through about half the show here on YouTube, and then we'll go over to Rockfin where we can get a little bit more serious and say some things that YouTube punishes us for saying. So Troubling Tribune is back, possibly.
All right.
Take
Take two.
It worked.
Awesome. Yeah, another day in paradise. I could hear you guys loud and clear, but I don't know what was going on. Yeah, today's show going to be absolutely hilarious. I remember watching it the first time, trying not to spit take my tea. So excited to get into it.
Now, I've always wanted to, my entire life, I've always wanted to do impressions and can't do very good ones. But I was talking to Justin Harvey the other day on the phone, and I just broke into a Jim Fetzer. And he was like, dude, that's the best Jim Fetzer I've ever heard. And then he's like, do you do any other impressions? I'm like, no, I don't even do any. I said, but I guess I can probably do RFK too. I think if you get Fetzer down, you can do RFK. It's kind of the same kind of thing. But maybe everybody can do it. I don't know. It's fun. If you haven't done it at home, go around and try and talk about the philosophy of science like that. It's kind of fun. You'll enjoy yourself. So let me bring this up here. And we'll start with this little funny anecdote. It's just got some... some things you might remember from the debate in there. Let's see if we can get this on screen. All right, that's not going to work either. Let's try this. And
Out there, this
I don't
is
hear any
Jim
sound.
Fetzer, and I just wanted to
Hold on a
make
second,
some.
Let me fix this.
Hey man, I said in the chat you are the best technical host ever. So
Thank you.
Don't disappoint me.
Well, I
please.
also listened to whatever show it was. Was it last week when something went wrong and then you decided to say it was my fault? So even when I'm not on the show, I can't.
Yes,
can't
man.
win.
Yes. Fake news. Fake news.
It's like, thanks. All right. Let's see here. Why can't I get any sound on this audio? This one here. Oh, it's got the sound all the way up. Did people at home? I guess this will work. Let's try this. That's the problem. Media source. We're going to go monitor only. Mute output. All
I
right.
love
let's see if this
your
works.
technical support.
Yeah, I'll go with Austin's doing.
Internal talk. Yeah.
Austin does
Every
consultations
step
for that.
in the way.
Thank you. All right, here's a special report.
Hello to everyone out there. This is Jim Fetzer, and I just wanted to make something crystal clear. And that is that I disavow, I disassociate in all ways and at all times with this vile character, this massive egomaniac that you guys call Witsit. Let me make something abundantly clear. I've had enough of Austin Witsit. Frankly, I'm insulted that he came on my program and called surveying expert Dave McKeegan anything less than an angel sent by God to disseminate the truth. He had the audacity to call him a liar because he repeats things he's already been shown to be wrong. It's preposterous that any man would call another man a liar, accusing him of being dishonest when it's not even possible to be dishonest if you're a man who sits on a couch and strangely pets a dead stuffed dog. But the audacity to call someone you don't even know a liar. I mean, I'm beside myself, overflowing with preposterous sauce, because I can't even imagine a situation where I would ever call somebody a liar. It's just not how I roll. Now make sure that you get a copy of my book, Nobody Died at Sandy Hook, where I lay out my case that everyone involved is a liar. Back to Witsit. I refuse to talk to this vile, self-important guru of the flat earth because he came on my show and called the Special Committee of Globe and Heliocentric Experts' own Dave McKeegan a liar. And he may be an orbital mechanic mathematician expert, but he's also one hell of a truth teller and a swell guy, which is a lot more than I can say for Austin Witsit. I mean, this is the best that you've got? When I brought my bona fide legit evidence in the way of a 45-minute Dave McKeegan video, where I made you sit and watch the entire thing, including the 3-minute advertisement that he gets to include for being exactly what the mainstream wants him to be, when I delivered this powerful plethitude of evidence, Austin, with his hot head, replies by immediately saying that he wouldn't allow me to appeal to authority. It's absurd, Austin. It's absurd. He called out my shifting of the burden of proof and my constant reifications as fallacious. Well, neener wiener, Austin, I say all the same back on you. So who won the debate now? Two can play at that game. I mean, I've had enough of Austin Witsit. I take strong exception to my fallacies being pointed out, and as such, I mean, it's just absurd. I mean, if anybody knows that we're clearly on a tilted, wobbling, spinning space rock, zooming around a vacuum over 1 million miles per hour, which has been proven over and over by science, held in orbit by the force of gravity, which has been proven by Cavendish in a shed, discovered by Newton when the apple fell on his head, it's Jim Fetzer. I mean, who else is a student of history and the philosophy of science who taught courses in reasoning for 35 years and courses in logic and critical thinking and scientific reasoning? I emphasize that only someone of my background could ever for you find the proof that you need to get close to the truth. Let's make it easy in closing and wrapping up our globe in a neat little ball. It's very easy to prove for yourself. To prove it for yourself is painstakingly easy, and it works every time without fail, every day, every hour of every day, which is what the prediction of the globe model makes. And what do you know, in practice, it matches precisely the globe prediction to within the 14th decimal place, proving that the Earth can only be a spinning, wobbling globe ball. Grab a buddy and a camera and go down to the beach. When you get there, put on some suntan lotion and get a vaccine. Now, go to the water's edge and look out away from you at the horizon. scan the horizon to find a boat or a vessel of some type. As the boat moves away from you, or the said vessel does the same, if it moves away from you towards the horizon, well, at that point, then you know that it's going to disappear from the bottom up. And it does it every single time. The hull disappears first, with the sail disappearing over the curvature of the earth, and it can be seen. This happens billions of times a day. Go find one so you can get out and get in the right place in front of the truth and see for yourself that if you go higher, then you see further. And there is no mechanism, no viable way that you could hold a position that you would be able to see further by going higher on a flat earth. Or on a globe, this is what the globe model predicts. This is what the ellipsoid, the pear-shaped oblate spheroid, this is what it predicts, and the observations match every single time. I would be surprised if one person is a teacher has ever said that the Earth could possibly be anything other than a spinning, wobbling space globe. Okay, if there's a pilot who says that the Earth is flat, he should be shot down by the military. I mean, the evidence is abundant. It's omnipotent. It's everywhere. It's every day, every hour. I mean, Science President Dave McKeegan has made so many truthful videos in a row now that everyone, including that vile character Austin Whitsitt, can finally get out of the rabbit hole that is personally really clogging up the truth sphere, if you will. But I refuse to associate or align myself with Austin Whitsitt. I mean, since when can fallacious arguments not be used in debate? I mean, come on, people, go outside, get 2 sticks and make up a story and put it in books where children will believe you. One stick has no shadow and the other stick has a shadow. This is, again, concrete, scientific, mathematical, philosophical, cosmological, astronomical proof that can only mean one thing, and that's that everything NASA says is the truth. Sure, they lied from 1972, the 3 years before 1969 to 1972, which was nice of them to just lie during that time period only. But I bet that Austin Whitsitt would call NASA liars too. They're not liars, Austin. I'm disgusted. I'm appalled. I'm dismayed that Austin would call out these guys who lied about going to the moon and call them liars. It's preposterous. It's not logically, it's not concretely or educationally sound logic. Sorry, Flat Earth has failed, Whitsitt has failed, DITRH Dave Weiss has failed, and for more globe evidence, all you need to do is go see Professor Dave McKeegan's channel, OBGYN, for all the details. This has been Jim Fetzer, Truth Teller Supreme. I've been teaching science for 35 years. Do you think I would know whether the Earth is a spinning water ball in space or not?
He's got a good point. Thank you, Jim, for that. I do agree that you got some good points there. If anybody would know, it would
That's
be Jim
hilarious, bro. What is wrong with you, bro? Why are you so good at that?
The guy's just too funny. He's just when things are too easy. I have to ask because I've noticed this a lot.
No, man, that is not easy. You take the time. That lip syncs is amazing.
Well,
Was that all one take?
Yeah, but well, you heard me like flipping through the paper. But yes, no, I didn't match it with his mouth or anything. It's just I found a clip of him talking and just took the sound out. But what is this new thing? And maybe it's not new, but Austin, you probably see it all the time. Where do they get this thing where they come up with it's what the globe predicts, and then like I've just heard it used in your debate with Karen a ton of times. Like, oh well, this is what the globe predicts, and when we see exactly that, it proves the globe. I've just noticed this like I don't know obsession with this. Oh well, it's what we predict and it's what we see. But they're just using it in all the wrong spots. Like it's not even he was using it. I'm trying to remember when Jim was using it. But have you noticed that this is like picked up a little bit, or is it just something I never noticed before? Which is possible. Anybody? Are they using it more often?
I mean, they've kind of always done that, honestly. Like, yeah, you know, like if they say like, oh well, we know the Earth's a sphere that moves around the sun because look at the planets.
Right.
You know, you got me wanting to be Jim Meltzer now, but I don't know,
Meltzer.
man. I think it's just a typical thing, bro.
Did you just come up with that?
No, someone else said it in the chat.
Meltzer. That's good.
Yeah, a couple of days ago on my Telegram.
Oh, that's good. Okay, that's good. I wish we'd add that. Yeah, no, it's fun to do, and you'll notice that you'll just go around your house doing it all day. And the way you get into to do it is just keep saying philosophy of science. And then from there, the whole thing just makes it easy. But no, I mean, I had to put in there all the hilarious things that, like how does this guy of all people be so shocked that you call somebody a liar? It's just baffling. And then like we were talking about before the show, does Jim not realize that as much as he kept going to Dave McKeegan and saying, oh, he's definitely, he knows the truth. He's a surveying expert. Does he not realize that Dave McKeegan would make fun of him for not believing that we went to the moon? I mean, it's like he doesn't even know who that guy is, or that, and it kind of proves what we've always said, that when people want to disprove or debunk flat Earth, it's like they seriously search it on YouTube and grab the first video, which is always the same thing, which is always the same 10 things. And then the way he says it is if nobody's ever heard it, right? Go to the beach and grab a camera and look at, it's like, yeah, well, Jim, here's the thing. We know that you've never done that. You've just exposed yourself, because if you do that, like we all did, we all see the boats too far. We all see them come back when we zoom in. So why wouldn't you just, I mean, it's almost like they don't expect that everyone's done it, or I don't really know how to explain. It's just very obvious. And here's the thing. A lot of respect for Jim Fetzer. He's done a lot of great work, but at a certain point, Dave was talking about whether to name the show that you can train a new dog or new tricks. You can train a dog with new tricks, or you can't. And in this case, we realized that sometimes people are just too stuck where they're at to ever see through. Because, I mean, there wasn't one time that I think he even listened to one word that you said or Dave said. Like,
Nah, bro. As soon as I was finished, he just started talking like I didn't respond.
Right. Just on to the next thing. And it was almost like a robot. And it's like, well, just listen. And then he kept saying like over and over again about the sun being closer during our summer. And like, they don't even realize where Dave kept trying to, get it clear to him. Like, no, we're actually 3 million miles further from the sun, during our summer. And he still didn't get it. And he would just bring it up again. And then Dave tried to correct him again. And it's like, these are the things, that was a big one for me. I mean, to be honest with you, because I was somebody who said like, well, doesn't the Globe tell a better story for the seasons? I mean, and I thought it was that way too, that we were going around the sun, and that when you get closer to it, it's our summer, we go further away. So that's what I thought. So when you find out that that's not even the model, and then the model doesn't really make a lot of sense, and you're like, wait, we're further, but because we're tilted. So a lot of these things led me to the flat Earth. And I think the same might be true for people like Jim, but not if you're not even going to listen and realize that you're wrong about things. He just wouldn't even take the slight chance that he's wrong or that McKeegan's wrong. He doesn't even understand how they did surveying or how they do it. And once you do that, that's why we're flat earthers. This is what bothers me so much, is that the reason that we're all here is because we've done this work. We've looked into it. We've come to these conclusions, not just on a whim, but because we looked into it. So it's like, you would think that people would start realizing, like Jim Fetzer, like, this is weird. Dave Weiss has been on this for 5-6 years now, right? And Jim knows Dave. So wouldn't he think to himself like, oh, well, there must be something that Dave sees that I don't. He doesn't even think of that. He just must think Dave's an idiot or something, because how else do you not think about something that somebody's spent a lot of time and say, okay, I'm going to look into this a little bit more carefully, or a little. And then who was the voice in the background that kept like saying shit to Jim? Was that
like one of his co-hosts or something trying to like help him save face?
Yeah, so in the background I hear somebody like Jim's like, if I could think of one, if anybody showed me one pilot, and in the background you just hear somebody like saying, "There's a ton. They're all over. There's hundreds
like,
on
there's
YouTube."
dozens of them online, Jim.
Yeah, but did he not know he was on a hot mic? That was weird.
Oh no, he was literally trying to help him. That's what I think, right? He was trying to help. When it started getting carried away, he was like, "Don't do that." He didn't want. I think he is into flat Earth, so it's like he wants to save him from embarrassing himself like that. Just go read his BitChute video, and a lot of the negative comments got deleted, and they're still just, it's 99% comments checking him, saying, "I was a big fan, but after this, you showed your cards." Blah blah blah. Like,
so this could end up being a good thing. I mean, I wonder if he'd be open to hearing a little bit, listening, rather than debate. Can you just listen to some of this evidence laid out, and then from there, because I don't think he's listening, and you're never going to come to a conclusion or change your current beliefs if you don't listen. You're just never going to do it.
I think you're right, because I don't see this man as being a disingenuous. I think he truly believed all the things he was saying, and I think it was a big hit when Austin just started correcting him on pretty much everything he said. and he knew Austin was right. He could tell, and that, yeah, he couldn't handle it. He had his breakdown live.
Well, I think
Right there.
whether knowing that Austin's right, I almost think it's the other way around. I think that if you're a globe believer, then you just believe that all the scientists, everybody who's bringing out this information, anybody who goes and does a video like Dave McKeegan, you believe that they are right. And so anything that Austin is saying must not be true. So that's where it's just, I don't know where you just are not looking at it right, or because it can't possibly be right. Because if what you're saying is true, then everything that he's taught but I mean, to go on and on about the philosophy of science and logic, how does he not see that he's completely not even arguing from a place that anybody who's involved with logic would accept? That's what I don't get.
It seemed to me that he was definitely arguing from a place of ego, that he just didn't want to let go of his preconceived notions. And definitely watching the conversation, it seemed that he was just waiting for his turn to speak.
Right.
And not sure what type of scenario would need to be created for him to not be doing that. Maybe not even a live conversation, right? That might be a conversation that would have to happen behind the scenes just to make sure that he's being intellectually honest.
Right. Good
He
point.
was like, Austin threw out all these scientific principles. I'm like, dude, I was like holding back, like I didn't even go like into like excruciating detail about how incredibly wrong you are about the heliocentric model. Everything you said.
Right.
I'm like briefly summarizing, trying to breeze through it, and he just ignored all of it. But I think it's not necessarily that he knew I was right. He just knew I was way more informed than he was. And he was just not prepared for that, so that he just had to switch the subject. Even when he said, like, if you could show me one single pilot that thinks the Earth is flat, I would be astonished. And then both people tell him there are tons of people online. He doesn't even respond to it. He just like, so change elevation and go on a tree.
Please, guys, can we? I mean, these are the things that bother me so much. Like, how are we not? It's been 8 years, 9 years, whatever it's been. How are we not at a place that everybody understands that if you are higher up on a flat Earth, on a globe Earth, whatever, you can see further? Like, this is what like almost scares me a little bit, is like, you would expect after all this work and getting to the bottom of things that we would be able to at least hit some, I don't know what you want to call them, like save points in a video game where, you get to a certain part of a level and okay, it saves and I'm good from there and I move forward from there. It's like, we can't even ever hit these points where like, okay, now we all agree on this, let's move forward. Like there's...
Yeah, every conversation has to start off with, I think we should ask them, how much does the Earth curve?
Right.
In 10 miles.
Right.
Do you know that? Because none of them do. They would all say, oh, maybe an inch or two or this or that. And then when you tell them 66 feet,
you're a liar. You're a liar.
Don't
you don't understand the 8 inches per mile squared.
They don't know their own model at all.
They literally don't understand that you can see further as you get higher on a flat Earth. Like that debate that Karen and I had, that was his only evidence, was that a drone went in the air and you could see more of the boat. I'm like, you're an idiot, bro. Like, I mean,
who is that guy? Where did he come from? That guy was so
that guy was an idiot, a complete idiot.
Yeah.
It was an unsupportable debate, that.
Bro, it's like, let me make it more polite. Like, you're grossly incompetent. It's like, that's actually what it is. That's just so stupid. And I'm like explaining to him, no, look, here are street lights. It's like,
so can we agree?
Again? Like,
you're like, can we agree that things in the distance, if they're above your eye line, they go down. If they're below your eye line, they go up. They ramp up. He's like, no.
He said no.
He said
just
no.
straight up said no.
No. It's like, I mean, at that point, that's why I'm like, well, we just have to quit talking to these people. I mean, you can't. How are you going to argue with that? I mean, I had the same thing with MC Toon, where you just get to the point where like, no, I'm done. I mean, I can't. If we can't agree that if there's a horizontal line that we know is horizontal and we take a photo of it and then we condense it and it shows curve, how can we not be intellectually honest enough to say, oh, then that renders all evidence that somebody has by saying, here's the horizon, here's this, and we condense it in an image, and okay, it's all gone. It's all garbage, because if we can show a known horizontal line curve when we condense it, then that renders all of that evidence garbage, incomplete, throw it away. We can't even get to that point. They want to argue with it. Well, no, but what in this case, if we put this next to it? No, we know all lenses have, optical issues. All of them have distortion. There's not one lens you can't, it's directly in here. It doesn't matter. It's a spherical lens. They all have distortion. And therefore,
there is no rectilinear lens.
Not a real one.
Still.
No.
Not a real.
It doesn't exist. Even the ones that are called that are super hard to even get. and they're not actually fully rectilinear. But what's so funny, bro? It's like this is what really was eye-opening to me. Okay, so you know how sometimes like Dave will say like you got the globe basket, the flat basket, the both basket.
Right.
Lots of stuff goes in the both basket, right? Flat earthers have no problem saying lots of stuff goes in the globe basket. We'll just be like, but it's a gross presupposition and blah 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 blah. But it's like they can't do that, and so what you'll find is not one person that defends the globe will concede that a sunset could work on a flat Earth.
Good point.
So why are we even talking to them? You've been talking about this for years, and you're still claiming sunsets are impossible on a flat Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like you're hopeless, bro. 7 years, and you're still saying that sunsets debunk flat Earth? That's your number one evidence?
Like in every single debate that Dave does, or every single conversation, he shows the video, he shows the sun going down, talks about the cloud layer, talks about how it would all build up at the horizon, talks about how the sun would go beyond that. I mean, it's like, you only need to hear that once to like, oh, does it mean it's what's happening? Not necessarily. But is it a viable hypothesis? Yes. And that's all we want is
exactly.
Just, and they can't even get to that point. It's just, nope, it's impossible. We would see the sun no matter where it was, all across the Earth. It's like, they even say, I mean, I've heard MC Toon say there's no viable mechanism for which things disappear bottom first. I mean, how many times can somebody say that until we chalk it up to just retardation?
Yeah, how many people did long distance observations at like grocery stores or big warehouses? Or it wasn't just a couple of us. I saw, 50 to 100 of those videos back in the day. People were doing it all over the place. Just setting something down and going to the other end and setting their camera real close to the ground, and the bottom of it disappears, or the whole thing would disappear completely.
What about in your warehouse? I mean, I only need to see that one time, and then it enters my mind as like, oh, this is a viable hypothesis, or this could be the reason, right? I don't need to fight that every single day of my life. I can't imagine being that kind of person. It's because it's not honest. You're not being honest if you can look at something like that or hear Dave describe that and not say, okay, I could see that working. Just say, nope. The only explanation, this is why I always laugh and I put it in that video a bunch of times, is when they say that, it proves that it can only be a ball. It's like, what? You are out of your mind if you think that sunsets prove that they have to be a ball. What did Jim Fetzer say? That on a flat Earth, that once the sun set, it could never be brought back. Well, where is he getting that from? Because does he understand that we don't even say the sun is never? It's never like any different altitude from the ground. It's basically the same altitude all the time. Go ahead, Ira. You're gonna say something?
No, I'm gonna mention that maybe you see that video that show 2 or 3 news in the television talking about that in this particular day of the year, 99% of the population received direct sunlight and bound sunlight. Did you see it?
Yes.
That video?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's for, I don't know what is your opinion, but in the flat Earth model, it's completely understandable. Instead, in the globe Earth, based on the tilt inclination of the supposed ball, how can you get that proportion of daylight?
Yeah,
the complete world, beside Papua Guinea, New Zealand, and Australia, receive light.
And what was the date again? Do you remember the date of that? Was it just the solstice?
I have the videos. It's a short video.
Play it if you want.
Whatever you want, we can present it.
Sure, you can play it. Let me get that.
Okay, give me 1 minute, and I
July
prepare everything.
8th or something.
But
yeah, like they just say that the light bends around the ball.
It's like
I
we could.
think
No,
Is this
but
the one you
They
shared
can
on
say
your
whatever
channel,
they
Ira?
want, but they need to prove that. They can say, of course, there is, the ball is fade out and, whatever, wrap around. Okay, but show me how that is possible.
Nah, bro, we don't have to show you, man. We just gotta say stuff,
We
bro.
say
Come on.
So get out of here.
There's no showing. We don't need
that's
to
why.
show.
That's why. Like the sunset. I go to the sunset, but I've really focused on the geocentric part of it now, because if people can't admit that according to the mainstream model, it's equally valid that the Earth is in the center and stationary, I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm about to talk to you about the complexities of a horizon. I go, well, like, why?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little more advanced type physics, and we've been at it for almost a decade now. So it's something that we just look at. It's like, oh yeah, well, we've done this 1,000 times, thought about this, looked into it, researched it, tested it, but the common person hasn't. So when we try to explain how a sunset works, it's like almost talking to the wall. It's horrible to say it, but
well, it's because they've taken the
learned
default.
all these words.
They took the default position that we must be lying, right? That science must be telling the truth about where we live. So anybody saying something different must be lying. It's like if they wouldn't take that position, and I think what's weird, what happened with MC Toon is that I think the switch between him thinking I was lying about everything I was saying to realizing that I was honestly believed that was like shocking to him. I think that all these people think that we're just lying, that we are doing something for money, that we just are. They can't get it through their head that we actually believe it, and that's why I'm like trying to figure out. Do we need some sort of like a wiki page or something to where people can go and see all of these points and then the counterpoint after it? Because it gets ridiculous that every debate I have to hear that it's the same one with Austin and Karen the other day. It's like these guys have never even heard of the flat earth theory. You got people like that guy Mark that are just so confused. They won't even listen to Austin talk. He won't even listen. He's just like, no, you know who I'm talking about? The guy that's, what is he, like Australian or something?
Yeah, Mark Reed, bald dude.
Yeah. He just doesn't even listen to anything. And then he'll come back for another debate and it's like starting all over again. It's like he didn't.
Then he runs around and they all say, I'm scared to debate him. I'm like, no, buddy, you already wasted 4 hours of my life.
How would that guy be scary to debate?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's delusion, bro.
It is delusion. It is delusion. Yeah, I don't know what else you call it. I mean,
I'm ready.
Okay, ready? Go ahead. Where did I do? I lost the Skype window. Okay, 1 second. Get rid of this one.
Switching cameras.
It'll be about 45 minutes until we're ready to be back. All right, you're on. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to play the video. It's around 4 minutes.
Did you
if
share
you
with
want,
sound, yeah?
Let me know and I pause. Okay?
Did you share with sound?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
I'm not calling Jeran.
No, that's awesome. Damn it.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Check this out. On July 8th, 99% of the world is lit up.
Happening right now across the globe. As of about 3 minutes ago, 7:15 Eastern Time, 99% of the entire world's population is facing the sun. That means we're all experiencing some degree of sunlight at the exact same time, either full daylight or for a lot of other folks, twilight. If you look at the map right there, just the Pacific Islands and Australia, the Australian region, are fully in the dark. 99% of the world.
And California, poor California.
Yes.
You know what? What a cool phenomenon.
One thing to bring us all together, literally to bring all of us together, because at this moment, I'm talking right now, 7:15, 99% of the population of the Earth is in some sort of daylight or sunlight. Now, this is due to the fact that the Earth has a tilt to it, 23.5 degrees. So it's the way it's rotating around the sun and the way it's orbiting in general. But right now, at this time in the calendar year, this doesn't happen every day. This only happens today, and it only happens right now. 7.68 billion people are in daylight or in twilight. The only spots that are not in daylight right now are Australia, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. Outside of that, the rest of the world is in daylight. You like that?
Let's make a model and see what's going on. Okay, here's our globe model, and here's our sun down there. Now let's set the right degree of tilt. Okay, here's our globe. We're going to set it up at 19 degrees, because that's where it should be on July 8th. Okay, so here's the sun shining on the globe at 19 degrees. Now let's take California and put it in the dark. And now let's trace the line of the sun. Let's make sure we don't turn the globe. Okay, now let's turn the light on and take a look. Okay, so the orange line is where the, right there. And all that land is lit up. Should be lit up. All this land should be lit up, but it's not. Except for Australia and New Zealand down here. So that's not working. Check out all the land that doesn't light up on the globe. Half of Russia, most of Asia, Mongolia, half of India, Thailand, Philippines. That's a pretty big, huge spot that's not lit up. Okay, so here we are on a flat Earth map, and 11 o'clock is like universal time is somewhere around here. Okay, so let's put our sun about 11 o'clock, and let's put California in the dark, and there you go. Look at it works pretty good. Everything's lit up except for Australia and New Zealand, just like it's supposed to be. It works pretty well. It's pretty awesome. And I don't see any other way how you're going to explain this one.
That was the video, and we can also complement with this funny article. I don't know if you saw it, but the mystery of the Earth uniform shine might at last have a solution, because of course in this quote-unquote picture they take out, or they carry on, or carry out, I don't know how to say it, all the sunsets and dusk, and it's like every of this part of the world is at 12 o'clock. It's crazy, because this type of light model distribution, it's not possible in the sphere.
Right.
So they're trying to make an explanation, and the explanation is so funny, man. I mean, they're trying to say that the South Ocean that supposedly was cold shine back to the half of the sphere, and that produced the brightness.
What?
Yeah. The mystery has been that's been of interest of scientists since the early 70s, when we first able to get the satellite into orbit, blah, blah, blah. Now, that mystery might have been solved. The explanation is that while the ocean of the southern hemisphere absorb more sunlight, they also produce a higher number of storms. And the resulting storm cloud act as a reflector that balance out the solar radiation begins sent back into space.
So that's the reason that it's a uniform brightness?
In the half of the sphere,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that when they paint out these, they cannot maybe take into account a lot of variables. That's crazy. You cannot present that as a real picture to a spherical Earth of 12,000 kilometers in diameter in outer space. But that is the official picture. So how can you go back in time and trying to correct that? This is crazy. But they're trying to explain, and this is March 5th. 5 on 2023. This is not an old, they still trying to convince people that this is real and it's not a painting. And if you start taking this into account along with the video that I present before, you start having a little bit of the big picture.
I've just never understood that argument anyway, because all I think about when I hear that 99% of the world's population is in light is I start thinking, well, how could you have both Russia and the United States in light?
Yeah.
That right there is just weird. That's where I first started saying in my head, I was like, that doesn't work. This picture here, you have Africa facing us, so we would know that everything on the other side can't be in light. Mm-hmm. So I never understood.
What camera did they use to take that picture? Did they use it to take any other pictures?
You mean the picture of the blue marble?
Yeah. Did they?
Well, suppose. No, the funny thing is that that for me, this is what's going on, what really happened. They painted and they take a picture, yes, of course, but the spherical Earth with the black background. This is not official. At least I didn't found the official picture of this. I think this is just made for someone, but it's so illustrative that I always present it. But remember that yes, we have an official, at least an official US patent presenting the spherical world. I mean, this is official. This is official. Of course, if you just paint it, you're gonna have that shyness of in the half of the sphere. And also remember that in missions like the Gemini missions and other missions, the technical engineering NASA, they use this spherical Earth, and here you can see that it's not a how you say, a regular shine. And this is, of course, this is just a random still frame take from official video. But if you imagine if you put the sun, I don't think you're gonna get this thing here. I think you're gonna have more like this, more fade out in the borders. The absorption of the light in the sphere is not regular. Of course, it's well. Besides that, I mean, supposedly, because, for example, let me just link very quickly with other argument, like, well, the astronaut on the moon, they cannot adjust the aperture of the camera to take the stars. Besides that, it's NASA, a lot of money. They can take at least 2 pictures or 2 cameras or whatever. But when they get back to Earth, they use a cam recorder, supposedly inside of the spacecraft, returning to the Earth, and you didn't see any stars in the outer space, and this picture is getting back in the last Apollo mission 17 from inside, supposedly from inside the spacecraft.
Don't they say that the craft needed to be in constant rotation?
Well, maybe Austin is better in orbital mechanics, but supposedly, yes, they must be all the time make corrections and trying to.
I mean, like they say that, I thought it was that you had to be rotating because if one side was facing the sun, only one side or something, it would cause problems.
You're gonna cause problem with the temperature. Yeah,
right. So they always had to be rotating, but in all these, we never see like they when we know that they're faking the picture out the airplane window or whatever with the Bart Sibrel footage or other such footages, or when they take a picture of this ball, we never see any evidence of the craft spinning. It should be rotating like a rotisserie chicken.
Yes.
Yeah, we just never see that.
Of course. Yeah.
Because you would see things come up into the window and leave, right? I mean, but we just see a little ball out the window they're supposedly looking at. Well, that's not rotating. So their whole story just doesn't make any sense. I mean, this alone, picture here is it's the one that more shows the track. So in the upper right there, when we see that, the model, the projection sphere, you've got the track with the little cart on it. And then you go look at the footage. You don't have to be smart to figure out where the footage came from.
No, man. I mean, they have all set it up. I mean, it's perfectly matched the mechanical movement of the supposed spacecraft. The antenna breaking live in the video that always Ben show from Taboo Conspiracy. I mean, you don't need to be smart. If it's just a matter of compare, videos with supposedly training apparatus and training system, and it's impossible to be a perfect match between the training system and the actual supposedly moon landing, missions.
Right. And they have these guys who are painting. Look how painstakingly they're painting every detail. Like that would be necessary in some sort of a simulation.
I know. Why? Why all that money being used for the simulation part if it didn't need to look perfect? I mean, that's just crazy.
And even when they supposedly went down there, it's like, it was different than we thought. And, Buzz had to, or, Neil had to fly manually to make sure he didn't land in a crater or something. I don't know. The whole story to me doesn't even make sense. I mean, here's the part about the moon that I don't even get. So if you're floating in space, okay, we know that the ISS is supposedly, the people in the ISS are floating because they're falling around the Earth. Okay, we get that. So then if you're going to blast off some craft from the orbit of the Earth towards the moon, then aren't you immediately falling around the moon, or are you still being impacted by Earth's gravity until you get like halfway and then it would have to switch? See, I don't even understand why the astronauts would be floating around on the way to the moon, unless it's falling around the moon, which I'm guessing is what they is that what they say, that it's falling around the moon. But you're so close to Earth, wouldn't you still feel that gravity? To me, I just think the whole thing is garbage. I don't even think they explain
Completely
it.
agree.
Yeah, they say you get close enough to the moon that that's what you're affected by. That
Yeah,
even
but
though
Yeah,
the
there's a
planets are
spot
close.
between the moon and the Earth. It's closer to the moon. That would be like its Lagrange point.
Okay, so if we're in the craft and we're flying to the moon, is there a point in time where we would feel that switch over from us being pulled towards the Earth to being pulled towards the moon?
I would think so. There would be. I mean, you because what they do is supposedly get into an orbit and then leave that orbit to go orbit around the moon. So, yeah,
But
that
you need
would
to be a
interesting.
Freemason to feel that.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly, bro. And you have to sacrifice a goat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The conversion of momentum, right? The moon is already catching up to the Earth in the Earth's gravity, so we aren't going to get caught up in the moon at that because it's already with the Earth.
It's
See how they win? Like they got us like debating Star Wars physics.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid because they do win because we get, and it doesn't even make any logical sense. The whole idea of, I remember learning that, when we get up in a spacecraft and we go and we're on the way to the moon, that because the spacecraft left the Earth going 66,000 miles per hour, it maintains that speed, right? It keeps that speed. So then you're thinking, okay, well then let's say the craft started to head towards Mars. At what point does it lose the 66,000 miles per hour? Because if Mars is going around the sun at a different speed, then how would you translate that speed of 66,000 miles per hour? Let's say you're going to land on Mars. So at what point do you have to shed that? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. They're basically telling us that a vacuum that has no translatable medium, is able to translate speed changes through, like Newton said, right? The idea that these things would be impacting themselves through free space is absurd. Newton said that. I mean, the idea doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, you should see the mechanics in some of these. What was that one? Like, it was like a rocket simulator. It was kind of childish.
Oh,
Do you remember what the? Yeah, that one. But once you got the rocket like up into orbit, it like really was hard to orbit the moon. But once you got it, it would. It was crazy. You had to come at the right trajectory and the right speed and the right blah 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 blah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But they have it all like calculated in even just the little video games. It's crazy how much.
Because I know grown adults that debate the globe like religiously, and they actually invoke that. They play that video game.
Yeah, Kerbal. I've always been told, like, can I buy the game Kerbal for you so you understand? Like, what? No.
But look at that technology, man. It's amazing. I mean,
go.
How can you doubt about this technology?
And it doesn't look at all like it's on strings. It doesn't look like when it turns, it doesn't look like it's on strings at all.
No, and this particular is super obvious how they use miniature and just that pre-record in the rails, pre-record moon footage. That is why it's so washed out and some regular shining in the background.
Look how bad that is.
You would get a kick out of this. I actually had a Glober one time tell me that it can't be miniatures because it's too detailed.
No. Who said that?
Well, I've never seen that picture.
Person, man. The level that you can achieve in miniatures, it's amazing. Ask George Lucas.
Hold on, leave it right here. I've never seen this.
Stagecraft knows.
I've never seen that thing on the right there. What is that?
What is?
Oh, that's a gravitron.
No. Close that one. Yeah, this thing here. I'm sorry. The picture on the left, it says unauthorized, whatever, keep out. But I've never seen the projector thing on the right.
Well, that type of projectors are for the other. I assume that maybe it's something in the other side that they can use to film. Maybe from here you can see flat, but in the other side is different. But these type of things, it's why they have sometimes that shiny moon and sometimes they have that crispy moon,
right? Because
sometimes they use actual models based on. Remember that we did a full presentation of that. The full model that they use for this is the type of training where they use this type of pre-record footage, and they present or they project in the screen to, supposedly make simulations and that kind of stuff. Sometimes they use just roller piece of, land for presenting in television.
Wow, I've never seen that either.
Yeah. That is why CBS.
Oh my God.
But all these type of things were made, a lot of things were made to present in live, a live stream for the people, for the audience that
like
supposedly see on the moon. And they're trying to explain like, well, this is the action that will be taken, blah, 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 blah. Then they use this also for training in NASA. That is why Ron Howard, the guy who is known in Hollywood, like the man who made the moon, that was the employee by Disney that creates a lot of super detailed miniatures, not just of the moon, but also for the Apollo things. And that is why you sometimes see that type of video when you have a miniature.
So remind me though, because Ron Howard is the director of Apollo 13. Didn't he also say something regarding the fake moon landing?
No, sorry. Maybe I pronounce correct. I'm talking about this guy.
Who's he?
Well, this is the guy who made the moon.
Roger Hayward. Roger Hayward. Okay, got you.
Okay, sorry for my English pronunciation, man. But that this level of detail that supposedly he made for television, it's insane. This is not for television. This is for, of course, other stuff too. He was a Freemason. He was a genius. He invented a lot of things. The silent chamber. He invented the silk screen that then was used by Stanley Kubrick for frontal projection, for example. So he participated in a lot of things. This is a miniature. This is a picture of a miniature. So how can you distinguish from this to the actual supposedly picture of the moon of NASA?
You just pray and then dude, wow, like pray, when they show when they showed that you were showing them the craft, the module, whatever, flying, bro, if they claim to go back to the moon, they're gonna have to show us the lunar module deploying and landing, but it's gonna have to be way better quality because it's 2023.
I mean, you can,
of course,
it's the string. And I don't know if you have any. I have some footage, Giro, of them doing the practice in the warehouse with the rafters and everything, and it's identical.
Yes, I have it. It's identical, exactly. That is why.
Bro, look at how stupid this is.
Look at that, and what
it's like waving in the wind.
It's not just hanging on screen, but it's also like frame by frame. They have something strange in the frame rate, because if you take a look to this piece of cable or whatever it's hanging there, if you take a look the movement, it's so steppy that it's crazy, man. What is that?
What's especially hilarious is that you had the guy with the painting the miniature of the moon, and you could see the grid pattern on it. And there's an article that recently came out that's like, we discovered there's something super massive underneath the moon. First thought that comes to mind is that they're just discovering the underneath of the paper mache.
Look at the black background here.
And look at everything.
What would you need that for?
All the setup. You have the string, you have the motor, you have the rotors, you have the actual big
gimbal
simulation spacecraft hanging on one cable. So here you have all the mechanical movement to compare.
Oh, that was NASA's?
Yeah, this is NASA's over here.
What?
Yeah, and this is NASA. This is official NASA. I have a lot of these type of things, and in fact, here is an actual spacecraft, just the front part, with the people inside. This is actual real scale. You have a guy inside here training.
What is it, like half of the budget went to the simulation part of it, not even sending the guys to the moon and all that stuff, it seems. They spent just as much simulating it as they actually did doing it.
Well, that was all. Yeah, it was all simulation, right?
Well, yeah.
I'm trying to. I've been seeing some of this, bro. This is tripping me out. What?
This is the supposed Gemini missions, and you have actual people inside.
Look at this. I mean, I'm just gonna bring this over real quick, but this is the kind of thing. If people are looking for things to research, there's so much more. So I'm just finding this guy, this Hayward guy, Roger Hayward. He's known as the man who built the moon. Here's him painting the moon for Griffith Observatory. But then down here they show Disney, and it says here that Hayward was involved in optical tasks as he was preparing the illustrations for exhibition panels. In 1945, he patented a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope camera and later worked closely with the great Linus Pauling to create illustrations of molecular structures. Yeah, like people that nowadays think that those are real. However, if there is one project that can be considered his masterpiece along with his other patents on various optical devices, is the great moon models. This is here. Yes, and then it says in the little, Walt Disney was one of Hayward's moon models in 1955. Yes, because from photographs taken by means of telescopes of the surface visible from Earth of our natural satellite, Hayward created several lunar models, like realistic giant sculptures, which were used in cinema, museum, and exhibitions. Some have been lost, which is a pity, but others can still be contemplated, such as the present in the Griffith Observatory. Then we're looking at this little half moon here on this cart, and it says Disney operatives preparing a moon model, 1955. Like Disney's cartoons. What are we doing? Disney's preparing a moon model. Anyway, go back to what you're doing. I just think if people are looking for something to research, I'm on alpoma.info, and it's a whole thing about this. It's called the Hayward Papers. I bet you there's something in there if we look hard enough. Go ahead, here.
No. When I was making the research for in terms of all the visual effects that maybe NASA use, that guy appears, and it's incredible because there you have a lot of things that when you start, the key is compare things. And in our days, they are just get better in those performance because, for example, right now they use this stable robotic arms that they are capable to repeat motion, so you can start making a lot of things like all the video that they present us with the supposedly for craters or asteroids or comets, things like that we see in the news, that supposedly Japan arrives or NASA create this deep impact in the asteroid to deviate from the trajectory that came to the Earth, things like that. When you start comparing in the old days, they have all that creepy movement that that you can detect how that vibrates and things like that. But in our days, they use this type of technology where you have this. Let me just close and make a quick video that I think I used to have here, but like in the real life and in a live stream, you never find it. But they use this, like you can recreate a lot of stuff like this, for example. And in fact, they are telling you this is the microgravity solutions, whatever. And they, for example, this is a DART mission from ESA that supposedly this took place last year. Make this or this year, I cannot remember exactly. Of course, they present all this CGI, and then when they talk about training and that type of stuff, they use, again, a black background. The only difference is that they use this new type of robotic arms to perform the movement, but they still are using one source light, all black, of course, for supposedly simulation. But at the end, when they are, they also use the front part of the spacecraft. So they recreate the final result that they present in the news or in the, conference or whatever. Everything is just create in this type of environment. So you cannot distinguish, what is simulation and what is real. It's like the 9/11 training moment, Is this real? And here you can see they just make this smooth movement that, of course, is much, much better than the 1969, where you have all that crappy, wiggly motion. Now they are very stable, under control, and the final result is this smooth that maybe for non-trained people, it's help you to believe that that is in the vacuum of space going in this perfect no gravity scenario, environment, things like that. So again, they can fake whatever they want, and people believe immediately because this is from a model.
Yeah, why do you think they show us this stuff? Do you think it goes down to that rule where they have to tell us what they're doing?
No, I think this is the people that works here, I think they for real, they believe that they, someday can reach this asteroid, because after all, the end of the pipeline is in NASA or in ESA, and the end of the supposedly results it's given to you for the television or for, so the people that work here, I think they are just using all this to provide that data to the actual supposedly director of the mission. It's just like that. They are playing with models, like the newsbender said in that chapter. I don't know if you remember the newsbender.
Yeah, definitely. So
we play with models.
I think that they don't even make sense, like logically. So don't they tell us, or Newton said that every action has an equal and opposite reaction? Is that correct? Isn't that like considered a law of some type? That so what is the equal and opposite reaction to gravity? Because isn't
anti-gravity?
I mean,
dark matter.
Shouldn't there be an equal and opposite reactive force? I mean, I just get confused sometimes on where these guys even are going, and how would Newton have come
if
up
there's
with
there's equal and opposite reaction force for gravity, then it necessitates that the Earth is in the center.
Yes.
Seriously, that's what Newton even said in his final page. But you know what that reminds me of, dude? I just saw a video where this guy's coming out and he's like, yeah, so it's time to just admit, I mean, we've proven that dark matter doesn't exist with this new observational technology, and gravitation is the least understood, or the least understood theory that we have in physics.
Oh boy.
And people lean towards Einstein, but it turns out he was wrong, and it's time that we just accept it and move on. And it appears that it may be emergent, and that gravity may in fact be emergent. What people call particles is just waves, and it seems to be emergent from some type of medium akin to an ether. This is like a top level dude, and that there's an equal and opposite reaction within this medium, like the reciprocation of a medium. So they're actually, that's the same thing that Konstantin Meiss said in his electromagnetic gravity theory, and that's the head of the Nuclear Institute of Physics. Just came out and said the theory of relativity is wrong. Gravity is actually electromagnetic, and there's equal and opposite reaction. And just because you said this is just like, you just like made me do this, so it's your fault. I want to read this from Tesla real fast. Or not from Tesla, but about what Tesla said. So it says, ether was a gaseous radiance, often invisible to the eye, but a powerful pressure source. Along with several colleagues of the day, Tesla firmly ascribed to the etheric theory of gravitation. Gravitation was evidence that a groundward etheric pressure was at work, permeating mass and producing fixed relationships of attraction with respect to the Earth proper. The apparent constant acceleration of different falling masses was accordingly calculated as a function of density and cross-section. Theoretically, the concept remains a curiously flawless explanation of gravitation. Perhaps the recent scientific world too much resembles the world of pop art and music, where fickle fads and novelties are more important than expressions of excellence.
Who said that? Where did you read that from?
This is a paper. I'll have to find the actual paper, but
okay,
it's based on what Tesla was saying. And because Tesla said basically that ether was a primary substance, and it was basically akin to a gaseous substance with tenuity beyond comprehension, which just means like thinner than you can comprehend, and that it's the primary substance that everything comes from. It's fluid like all other mediums, basically.
Yeah, it's crazy that Tesla doesn't get the credit deserved, or at least they don't want you looking at it for some reason, because he invented the electric motor, radio and wireless communication, electronic logic, the electronic gate, discovery of X-rays, charged particle beams, which are basically lasers, the rotating magnetic field, fluorescent lighting, vertical takeoff and landing concept, And then he said here, talking about relativity, and it says, while relativity is entirely for the purpose of explaining electromagnetic phenomenon, Tesla, the wizard of electromagnetism, who produced so many working, useful concepts with his understanding, laughed at the ridiculous nature of relativity. He says, supposing that the bodies act upon the surrounding space, causing curving of the same, it appears to my simple mind that the curved spaces would then react on the bodies and produce the opposite effect, straightening out all curves. Since action and reaction are coexistent, it follows that the supposed curvature of space is entirely impossible. But even if it existed, it would not explain the motions of bodies as observed. That's from a prepared statement of Tesla, July 10th, 1937. Then he says, today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation, eventually building structures which have no relation to reality. And it says, the scientists from Franklin to Morse were clear thinkers and did not produce erroneous theories. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. And that's from Radio Power Will Revolutionize the World in 1934. But go ahead, sorry to interrupt you.
Well, no, I mean, Tesla actually said that he specifically experimentally validated something called radiant energy. So Tesla said point blank that he had already figured out how to pull energy from an infinite medium of energy. Right. And he called it radiant energy. And he said it had a direct connection with the sky, with like the celestial energy. So, you don't get told that. It's like, oh, he was trying to do it. No, he said he did it. He said he did it. He called it radiant energy, which could just be called, like, in really crude terms, tapping into the ether. But I find it interesting because this equal and opposite reaction thing, this is the part that's important. What they left out of Newton's publication is the final page, Proposition 43, Theorem 22. And he specifically says, and that's the final page that was removed before it was published to the masses, of course. And it says, with all that being said, meaning all this explanation of theoretical ideas as to how the Earth could be a ball that spins around the sun, he said, with all that being said, the Earth could, in fact, be in the center if there was an equal and opposite reaction, and there was the inverse of what we call inverse force akin to gravity. If there was an equal and opposite reaction, it would keep the Earth in the center, akin to a tectonic system, and the Earth could, in fact, be in the center and stationary. This is what Newton himself said. If you have the opposite reaction, then you're going to have this centrifugal and centripetal forces or acceleration. It's going to hold the Earth in the center, and everything's going to move around it. That's why gravity cannot be an equal and opposite reaction in their paradigm. Right. That's why. And it's even deeper than that, but that's the main problem. But of course, we know that if there's a medium, then there is a reciprocation. If I throw a pebble in a medium, there's a reaction. Right. There's a reaction. The water displaces both ways as there's the waving of the medium. So they can't have this because it immediately means the Earth's in the center, immediately means the Earth's stationary, and it immediately means that there's an ether, and it immediately means that everything's electromagnetic, including gravity. And so this is starting to pop out all over the place. So,
and I think it's just I'm starting to notice it. I actually think there's more and more things that we're going to discover, even clear evidence of complete and total indoctrination, which is why we all believe this stuff to start with. Because my new one that I just cannot grasp is this idea of a balloon, a helium balloon going up, which I've seen with Dwayne Kellum. I've sent one up myself. We've sent one up. Iru's sent one up. That we know what happens to these balloons, and it's because there is no pressure the higher you get up, and so the gas is trying its very best to get out, and eventually it pops the balloon and escapes all into space. So what we have to believe is that if we kept making bigger and bigger balloons, that eventually we would make a balloon big enough that it would get to space, and instead of expanding outward, would all of a sudden change all of its nature and say, no. Forget about that expansion. Forget about filling the space. I'm now going to pull everything to my center. And it's absurd that that's their explanation for gas planets and gas suns, is that it's gas doing the opposite of what gas does. And if you ask them for an example of that, they cannot show it. They will tell you, oh, well, look in space. Look at Jupiter. Jupiter's why can't you do it here on Earth? Show us gas pulling to other gas. Gas doesn't even attract gas. And we're told that matter, was it in your debate when he's like, what was that? Oh, sorry. Was it your debate where the guy was saying that, well, we have to agree that mass attracts mass? Oh, I guess it was Fetzer. Fetzer was saying it. That, it's a known thing that, all matter attracts all matter. Was
What's
what?
going on?
What happened? Did we get lost?
And what I wonder if Tesla say something about the moon landings.
Tesla was dead.
At what time?
I think 40s. I might be wrong.
Okay, 40s.
I don't think
Okay,
he
I
ever
don't
talk
know
about
why.
what the moon was. Did he ever?
I don't even know if I've seen much writing from him, to be honest. I know there's people out who don't think Tesla existed, and it's not
Yeah,
even
I've seen
it's
that.
not that crazy of a thought. Simply, if you're going based off of first-hand evidence, primary evidence, there's not a lot. But I tend to think because of the fact that he was hidden from me in school, that's why I kind of tend to believe that he probably did exist. But I mean, there's not a lot of pictures of him either, right? I don't think there's very many photos. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I don't know. I have problems with all these people. There's no way Einstein was what we were told. I mean, Einstein can't be found giving a speech without reading it off of a piece of paper, where he's just reading. He reads everything. And we don't speak German. I would love to have a German tell me, listen to him speak and tell me, is that the sound? Is that what intelligent people sounded like? I mean, to me, he speaks English. You can just tell he's like, doesn't barely even speak the language. I don't know how long he was here, but he never got it. And then supposedly, wasn't he a teacher at a school? Like, not Harvard, but something like that. I forgot where it was, Cambridge maybe or something. But he couldn't speak English. So, I mean, obviously, maybe it was like one of those gifted doctorates or whatever.
You say who? Einstein? No.
Yeah, Einstein. He
Einstein,
didn't.
Didn't they
Princeton.
have Hawking
Princeton.
teaching from the chair for a little while still?
Yeah, see, where's there evidence? Can somebody show me video of that? I think.
was
I
in
know they
Princeton,
have his
I think.
translator,
Oh man.
and he's just mumbling away, and the translator's like, yeah, and the stars and vast this, and it's like, dude, he didn't say that just now. Come on. You're just making that up.
Have you seen the guy that supposedly invented that machine you attach to your face and can read your mind? Oh, I got.
No.
Doc Emmett Brown in Back to the Future 1.
I got to find it for you. There's like some kid out of MIT that supposedly it's like a little face thing you put on your face, and like at first I was like, okay, well he's just going to move his cheek and make it move, kind of like what they said Hawking did. But they say that it's reading his mind. That's the funniest video I've ever seen right there that you're showing here. I love that one. There's just nobody will ever be able to explain to me how.
Either I can remember where
here
I
it goes.
was 20 years ago, or I can pretend I've never been there, and it works for me either way.
Look at these two on the left.
Can pretend I've never been there, and it works for me either way.
Like, who would ever say that? It doesn't make any sense.
Michael Collins.
If I told Eru, remember when we were in, Vegas and we were walking around with Miss Puppy, and if he said
How
to me,
can I forget Vegas, man?
but he would
you?
say, what if you said to me, well, I think I remember being there, and then sometimes I think I wasn't there, and it works for me either way.
Yeah, it worked either way. Like, for example, playing roulette in my living room.
I was like, what do you?
Yeah,
do you
that
remember
would drive
seeing-
me insane.
Oh man,
Remember seeing Aaliyah born, Austin? Well, yeah, I think it's one of the most significant moments of my life. Or I can just pretend I wasn't there and didn't see it. It's pretty much the same.
It works for me either way. It'd be like, what's wrong with you? We'd put you away in a home if you said that. January 7th, 1943 is when Tesla died.
Yes, I saw it. And Einstein in 55. And I don't know why. Maybe because I see a picture of Tesla when he was very old, but in color. Maybe someone colored it. And I don't know. I think maybe he died 62, 64, or something like that.
Gotcha. And then it says here that they
That was
took
a
his
stupid
papers,
question,
right? They immediately removed all the papers from Tesla's safe, citing wartime security concerns. So
Yeah, you know that
Yes.
Tesla was wild, bro. He was so productive. He slept 3 hours a night and didn't eat food. He blended all his food down to liquid
nice.
so that he could work more. Yeah. He said that sitting down and eating food was too time consuming. He didn't have time for that. I mean, the amount of stuff that they probably stole from that dude will blow your mind. He said that he discovered radiant energy and he could actually harness electricity from the ether directly. So,
So why do you think? What is your explanation for why nobody has picked up on that? I mean, do you think they have and then they just get taken out? I mean, is it really that difficult to? What if a group of 50 people came out with that information? Are they going to kill all 50? I mean,
Well, I think that not many people are going to do what Tesla did, where like he literally slept 3 hours a night
Right.
and was like 12 reading different languages and studying all so he made all that progress himself, but who else is going to make that much progress by themselves? So by making it be individually compartmentalized, you really kind of eliminate the possibility of someone discovering it quickly, right? Like Tesla was kind of like a psychopath in that sense. He just like did nothing else.
And
Does that make
according to
sense?
his nanny, he was an alien, right? According to his nanny.
He was a what?
Oh, I don't know.
Some story came out that he was like extraterrestrial or something from his nanny.
I remember there's
the aliens are gonna say they gave us Jesus and Tesla, bro.
It's coming. You ready?
Yeah.
No, I heard that.
Can
same
I play
thing
this? Can I put? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I heard that he was not an alien, but that he was like a gift from the heavens because his family was told something about some omen of a electric, some lightning storm that happened when he was born or something. Just to piggyback off
Type of stuff that
Tribune
makes
was
me
saying.
think it is sketchy.
It is. It's a sketchy in total. And then you've heard the story of like him falling in love with a bird. They like, tell all these crazy stories.
Yeah, but that's a lie.
It's a lie, right?
Misrepresentation.
Yeah. He just had a friend that was a bird.
Yeah, like he was just in an interview and he told the guy about a dream he had the night before where a pigeon visited him and talked to him like a human.
So a few weeks ago,
said he connected with him so much with the pigeon so much that it was almost like they had like this romantic humanly connection where the pigeon could understand him more than humans could. It was just a dream that he was explaining that he thought was profound. And then they run around saying he actually married a pigeon in real life or something.
And then he lost his job. Have you heard the story about him losing his job at Edison because he mistook a joke for a serious command? I'll have to find out exactly what that was. I remember reading that. And then, one of the things that I saw with Elon Musk real early that I was like, all right, this guy's fake, is when asked, said, oh, well, you named your company Tesla. You must have a great affinity. You must like Tesla more than Edison. And he said no, that he thinks Edison is way better than Tesla, which is like,
yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah.
He stole his work.
Yo, Iru, do you think that you can click the video in the chat and play it from 14 minutes and play like a couple minutes of it?
Which
now,
chat?
Yeah, after he says,
Sorry,
Elon
what?
says stuff. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't understand. You want to I stop the
No, you can
screenshot?
keep sharing. You can keep sharing because you're able to like carry along with the convo way more than I'm gonna do.
I tried to. I like.
Yeah, if you can go to the
Jeran
chat,
is the best
bro.
technical guy, and I am the best
Visual
director.
guy. Yeah, bro.
Video
If you go to the chat, I dropped a video from YouTube. Is there a way that you could play it from 14 minutes? Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think everyone here will find this very interesting. This is not some random person. This is Paval Kropa, and he is an Australian astrophysicist and professor at university. And check out what he's got to say. It's just unraveling.
I'm reconnect to the call. I don't know why Jeran kicks me out.
What? No, you were been here the whole time.
You kicked me out from the call.
Nah, you've been here.
You are so jealous of my ability to put videos.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, man.
So I mean, like I'm just reading here that he
14
died in
minutes.
that New Yorker hotel, the where Tesla lived his final years. But it says here he delivered annual speeches from the hotel on his birthday each year, July 10th. As it turned out, his July 1942 address to reporters would be his last. He died just 6 months later. So, like, to me, shouldn't we have video of that? I mean, there's no video of him giving one of these speeches. It's just weird. Okay, go ahead.
14 minutes.
Yeah.
So let me just go back. 14. Okay.
We don't hear.
Yeah, play some volume.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, man. I think you need to put on the background. Okay.
Way to think about.
Thank you.
Paradigm and just modifying instead of making the leap from the Newtonian paradigm to Einstein, we're just modifying Newton. What's the right way to think about it?
Well, I think
the
the
modern paradigm.
Yeah, the way I think about it is that the correct one. I don't know, but it's not a modification. Well, technically, the way it's done is it is mathematically one starts with the Newtonian gravitation and modifies it in the sense of putting into the equations that the accelerations change when the curvature of so the gradient of the potential. So the curvature of space becomes nearly negligible, yeah? and that can be put into a non-modifiable generalized Poisson equation. And the way I think about it is that Einsteinian gravitation. So Einstein postulated that we understand gravitation as a consequence of curvature of space and time, but that's just one possibility. There are other possibilities. Gravitation could be an emergent phenomenon from the different regions of space having different information content. That's from Verlinde, or because particles are waves, and so they react to changes of refractive index, which they themselves change because there are oscillations in some medium, could call it the ether, if you like. And so the thing is that gravitation is the least well understood.
Chuckle.
Yeah, and he goes, gravitation is the least well understood phenomena. And before that, he says, we now know Einstein. Right before the 14 minutes, he says, we know Einstein's wrong. So this is, again, an astrophysicist professor at university. So, I mean, the flat earthers must not be too stupid. Yeah, because
you want
I thought that's what we
plain
said.
or it's enough? Sorry.
Yeah, you can. I mean, that's really what I wanted everyone to hear. I mean, he just says like the gravitation is the least well understood phenomenon right there, and that's pretty much it. But I just think it's interesting that like mainstream academia is now inching towards conceding that to even pretend there's gravitation, you have to invoke an electromagnetic nature and an ether. So that's an emergent property from the ether, meaning it's nothing in and of itself. It's a property of a medium of energy. You don't say.
Have you looked into much, Austin, what Tesla was saying when he was getting supposed signals from space? Or
that's where he says he got his radiant energy from. He said that all radiant energy is actually coming from the sky. And so I don't know if you're talking about like signals as in some type of communication, but he said that he got his radiant energy from the sky and that all energy comes from there because there's prana, which is the life-giving force, and then there's the ether, and that the life-giving force sets the ether into motion, basically radiating down to the earth. And so all energy that we perceive in the material world is manifest from the ether, basically having that primary source of energy ripple through it. So he said all energy and information comes from above the earth. And that's where you can tap into an endless amount of radiant energy because that ether is being excited. And it's just an endless pool of energy you can tap into. And he called it radiant energy or white energy because it was nothing like what we classify as electricity, etc. I don't know anything about like any type of message.
No, I thought he said he spoke to extraterrestrials or something through. Again, I've kind of like I have to go back.
Yeah,
and
supposedly
pull my stuff
from
together.
Mars.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was reading.
But the hard part is, I mean, here's the thing: is that they've obviously got a misinformation campaign in place, and even the stories that you hear, you look through them, and everything makes no sense. It doesn't really jive as far as they say he was poor, right? He was broke and poor and all these things, but he lived in a hotel for like 10 years. His final 10 years of his life. That's just weird. Hotels are not cheap. So
that's because Jacob Astor owned the hotel and let him stay there for free.
Okay, good. See, these are the kind of things that I'm like are good to know. You mean the New Yorker? He owned the New Yorker, or the other one before that?
Yeah, the New Yorker. Jacob Astor, was one of the most
and then he died on the
Titanic.
Titanic, yeah.
Yeah, but he had it set up.
He was an assassin. In the
but
Titanic.
he had it set up where Tesla got to stay there. And then there's actually a theory that Tesla was renovating that hotel discreetly to make that the actual Wardenclyffe Tower.
Wardenclyffe, yeah.
That's a theory, though. I mean, that's based on certain blueprints and renovations and in the same exact metrics as the tower.
And it still says there's no consensus about his death. Some people say heart attack. Some people say death ray. Some people say he was killed.
A story that he got hit by a car and then refused to go to the hospital, came back to his hotel and just laid down and died.
Well, I think that they say he got hit by a car like years before, right?
Well, I don't know. I heard like a week before.
Driving by a Jesuit. I
of course it was a Jesuit, dude.
Who else?
Jesuit in the driver's seat, Grabbler in the passenger.
It says two biggest causes of missing information are the facts that Nikola Tesla passed away alone and that he was not discovered for many days after dying. If he could have been examined more immediately, they would have been able to more accurately determine if there was other issues for his death. I don't know. Pretty crazy. I don't know how we got off on this subject anyway. All right, we're going to head over to...
I don't even think it matters about the guy Tesla. It just matters about like the implications of physics.
And I think that it's clear at this point we've seen enough, like all of the talk of cars running on water, carburetors, these kind of things, they're not all lies. So what clearly is going on here is that there is technology that is available to us to make things cheaper, easier, and it's essentially held up by these corporations, by these big businesses, by big oil, to make sure it never comes out. So you can't really argue with that. My thing is, it's just baffling to me that we still don't have a group of people that comes out, like 50 people rather than we just keep getting these single guys come out like I've invented this, and then then they die, and it's like and it never comes out. It's like we need a group of people to come out so that they have to go kill 50 people or something, where it's a lot more obvious, because you just keep having these one-offs. And I mean, people even believe that these guys who were reporting on the Clinton kill list and things like that, oh, they committed suicide with a gunshot to the back of their head. It's just ridiculous that people believe this stuff. What is this? What are you looking at here?
I'm presenting just from the Through Media Revolution channel, and a research about some stuff of Nikola Tesla. And in this particular video, the guy proposed that, of course, the governments are using a lot of the technology for energy and things like that. And well, it has a bunch of mixed up topic about Nikola Tesla. For example, right now we are looking at a paper from FBI that talk about how they took information and all the patents and things like that. It's like 30 minutes inform, or I don't know how to say, video information, but I just played that in the background because it was related with the topic that we are discussing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I'm just writing myself some notes here because I do want to look. There's got to be more evidence of him alive.
Wow, did you read that last part?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It said a few months after he died is supposedly when they started the Manhattan Project. Did Tesla come up with how to do all that? And then they were like, oh, cool. Look what we found in his effects here.
And tell everybody about the Manhattan Project in case they don't know.
Yeah, that's the nuclear bombs.
Right.
Yeah, which he specifically said it wasn't how they explained it. Right? He specifically said it wasn't. It wasn't because of like the division of an atom. He said that was stupid. Which is ironic, right? I mean, he literally, the story goes that he told all of his colleagues there, like, look, you may want to leave because everyone else says that when I do this, there's going to be a major explosion, but I'm pretty positive they're wrong. So they all trusted him and stayed there, and then he started disintegrating atoms and nothing happened.
And well, at least we discovered the dome after all that operations based on nuclear explosion in the high altitude atmosphere, right?
Yeah, I just think that we've been misled about the entire concept of nuclear everything. Whether that be neutrinos, just nucleus, all the neutrons, the weak nuclear force, the strong nuclear. This is all we were misled about all that. So I don't know what you can do in this fundamental level and create an explosion or an implosion. I'm sure you can, but it's just not. It's not what they say. It's not how they say it works.
I'm just looking. If you guys want to go there, it's room 3327 at the New Yorker. Is where he died.
I stopped sharing.
Cool. Yeah, I was in New York. I saw the New Yorker. We just didn't have time to go in there. I'm sure it's like just not even cool anymore. But drop in the Rockfin chat in the YouTube.
Okay, let me get over here.
Or the Rockfin link in the YouTube chat for you guys.
We're gonna go over to Rockfin and let me see here if there's anything else I need to mention here. Let me check. And thank you guys for joining us. So 378 of you. Let's get a bunch of you over. We're gonna basically get into the Jim Fetzer, talk a little bit about all the fallacious arguments that he has and just point them out again, why they're fallacious and how we can combat that other than just ignore them, because at this point, pretty ridiculous. And yeah, I think that Dave has a pretty good relationship with Jim. Maybe he can talk to him about, hey, would you at least admit that there's some things that you might want to hear us out on, and see what he says. But it's not just like whoever, I think it was Tribune who said, we're not necessarily saying we need to have this publicly. I just think that Jim is not here to lie. He's just very indoctrinated. He talks about being this teacher and he taught logic. And well, if that's true, then if you use what you know about logic to look at this debate, then you should be able to see what we're saying. And if you don't recognize that you're just being dogmatic, then that's the opposite of logic. Then I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy that he doesn't see that. I would expect him to see it. I know he's old. I mean, how old is he? Is he 80? Might be 80. I don't know how old he is.
Might as well be.
Might be 90. Who knows? Let's see here if we had any super chats or anything that I needed to call out. I didn't pay attention to that.
Dude, the funniest part is I didn't even name all the fallacies, dude. You know, I just named a few of them, and he freaked out.
And he freaked out. Yeah. Well, no, you gave all these findings. Well, I could just say the same thing back at you, Austin. So there, take of that. There you go.
But no, you literally couldn't.
No, you couldn't. Yeah. My wife and I were dying laughing because we're like, no, he's actually pointing out fallacies that you've made, and then you can't just say that back to the person who hasn't committed the same fallacies. It doesn't work that way.
Nuh-uh, you.
Literally
you.
saying, I know you are, but what am I?
It's too funny. Let me just make sure. We did have one super chat, so I want to say thank you to who that person is. I didn't see it come across. Give me 2 seconds. And we've got Earn and super chats. All right, so we've got a super chat from Jeremy Bird. Thank you very much, with a super sticker number 1 and commercial sound and video. I believe that's today. Let me make sure I'm not reading something from before. Oh, that's before. All right, so thank you very much for that. We're going to go over to Rockfin. It's in the chat if you want to join us. It is free and will remain free while the show is live, so come on over. And you don't even need to sign up unless you want to chat. Of course, then you have to sign up for an account, which is also free. So we'll see you over there. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week with another GlobeBusters here on YouTube. And also we'll be back on, is it going to be Thursday this week? Zach, do you know?
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, we're shooting for Thursday for sure.
At 7, right?
7 p.m. Eastern time. Yep.
All right. Awesome. So we'll see you guys then, and appreciate you being here, and we'll see you over at Rockfin. Thanks so much. Peace. Oh, and Russell Gregory. I just saw it squeak by there. Russell Gregory, $10. Thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it. Somebody's saying Odyssey is much better than what? Rockfin? I don't know. Is anybody actually
Incorrect.
Is anybody doing live streams at Odyssey? I don't even really know if you guys are doing it. I'm not. I couldn't figure
Odyssey
out.
I've never been on Odyssey.
Doesn't work very good.
Yeah,
But,
I just like it for my old stuff.
Go to Rockfin or you're lame.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, Odyssey is completely
3.
bullshit.
Oh, nice. We got 208. Thank you. 208 at Rockfin. Let's get to at least 350. Can we get to 350? I see you guys.
I'm still aiming for 377. So
377. Make Austin feel better. All right. We'll see you guys over there. Till then, peace. All right.
Peace.
Bye.
We're good. We're back. We're here at Rockfin. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it a lot.